All right, y'all, this is part 2 to my domestic violence story. So let's get into it. All right, so 2 more red flags that I noticed when dealing with a narcissist, which to me is just a spiritual parasite, is when I was in the process of moving in. When I was in the process of moving in, his mother literally said, her son and her granddaughter are a package deal. I don't understand why she would have to explain that to me. But I realized that people who operate at such a low frequency, they automatically think that the people around them are vibrating at the same frequency as they are. And I just want to say that is not the case. My ex can literally tell you that I came into the relationship with him and his daughter with a pure heart. It was genuine, baby. I come from love. I exude love. It's in me. It ain't performative. It ain't fake. It's in me. Another thing that I want to say is, when did we as Black women start putting children in the same category as adults? This woman said to me, the daughter's name has been the woman of the household. What? A child is a child. A child only does what the people around her or him allows them to do. Thinking about it, I was just like, wow, did I really look over that? When you're in the situation, well, when I was in the situation, I pretty much let things just roll off my shoulders. And now that I'm thinking about it in hindsight, that's crazy. To feel that I am coming into your son's life and I have ill intent. Nah, baby. Still to this day, I ain't got no ill intent. I don't do revenge. The greatest revenge is moving forward, learning the lesson, and forgetting about the lost. The greatest revenge for me is that I get to raise a son. That's the greatest revenge. So those 2 things were red flags that I ignored, that I let roll off my shoulders, because in my past relationships, the mothers will say certain things because they want to protect their child. And I get it, especially when it comes to boys. Feel as if they have to save their sons. And my advice is, ladies, listen to the mamas when you're dealing with these sons, because the mothers will never directly say, my son is violent. Leave my son alone. He's a violent person. But based on those 2 statements alone, the child has been the woman of the household. Her son and her granddaughter are a package deal. Now that I think about it in hindsight, the mother was very well aware that women were coming in and out. It was a revolving door with her son. And it ain't the women. Trust me. It ain't the women. I feel sorry for him. And reason being is because he had no control over how he was raised. And a lot of narcissists are groomed in a certain manner, and they pass down their dysfunctions to their children. Let me tell you guys a story. Whenever me and this guy would get into an argument, him and his daughter would literally stonewall me. I remember one day sitting on the couch They came into the house and he wasn't talking to me. And it had got to the point where I was just tired. I'm just like, I am gonna just match your energy. Like, I am not going to keep asking you what's the matter, what's going on, when you cannot be transparent. You cannot be honest, and you stonewall me when I voice my opinion. So after a while, I just started matching the energy. You don't want to talk to me? I ain't gonna talk to you. There's one particular day that I would never forget, and I never blame the children, because children only do what the people around them allow them to do. If your mama allowed you to get away with certain things when you were a child, you grow up and you think that's the way that things are supposed to be in your adulthood. If your daddy let you get away with certain things when you were a child, you grow up and think that that is the way that things are supposed to be. Sitting on the couch, they walk in, and the way his house is, you walk through the kitchen to get to the living room. You walk through the living room to get to the bedrooms. They walked through the living room, and I was sitting on the couch, and he didn't say anything to me. He didn't say anything to me. He didn't look at me. She walked right behind him, didn't look at me, and didn't speak. The environment became very dysfunctional. And when I say dysfunction and toxic and chaos, a lot of the times it's through the actions of people. You don't have to be cursing and fighting and going hand in hand with the person in order for that to be considered dysfunctional, chaotic, or toxic. A lot of dysfunction happens through actions. And stonewalling is mental abuse. Abuse comes in so many different forms, y'all. It's not always just physical. I want to say that as well. And when I was living there, I was always tired. I was mentally drained. There was moments where I had to force myself to like get up and eat because I was just over it. I was just like, what did I get myself into? I was always just questioning myself. And I kept trying to do more. Do more. Maybe he'll love you if you do more. Right? And then after a while, it's just like, yo, you gotta get up out of this. Ain't nothing gonna change. This is not your battle to fight. And what really woke me up was when I found out that I was pregnant. That's when I said, I gotta make a change. And if I don't do it for myself, I gotta do it for my unborn child. So I started like blocking out the noise, blocking out the dysfunction. And he'll send text messages and say things like, oh, you act like you don't care. I remember a time this man said, I feel like I'm having a anxiety attack. He was well aware that I had anxiety attacks in my past. This is another thing. They use the data that you give them to receive empathy from you. He felt like he was having an anxiety attack. Mind you, known this man 4 years, never mentioned anything about having anxiety attacks. Never had an anxiety attack. But what he realized was I was clocking out mentally. I was doing everything in my power to keep the peace. Whatever they wanted to do, I was just allowing them to do it. I was no longer voicing my concerns. I was no longer quote unquote nagging. I was no longer voicing myself. It got to the point where I started to record memos and like write in my journal, and I would talk to my sister about certain things and talk to other people that I actually trusted. And he realized that. So then it was the, oh, I'm having an anxiety attack. oh, I feel like you don't care. He would talk about his daughter, and I would just be like, oh, okay, I hope she feels better, or I hope you guys are having a good day. It was no longer the long paragraphs anymore. It was no longer the long conversations, none of that. Mentally, I was gone. I was gone. So he tried to will me back in. He kept trying to will me back in. Kept trying to will me back in. Eventually, like I said, once I got pregnant, I was like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But I ain't raising no child in this dysfunction. I'm not raising my child in violence. I'm not raising my child where my child sees that I'm being disrespected, not just by the child, but by his father. I'm not raising my child so my child thinks that stonewalling a person is okay. I'm not raising my child where my child feels as if being disrespectful is cool, because it's not. I'm not raising my child for him to think that he is less than, or he can't be authentic, or he has to think about everything he says because he's worried about how his father may react. Nah. Had to cut it loose. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how I ended up a single mom. Another thing that I used to talk about, how I never wanted to end up a single mom, and how I ended up moving out after calling the police.